Hi, welcome to Let Us Know. I am Lado Wadenjeta. In our today's program, we are in an exclusive interview with General David Ben Uzel, who also known as General John or Tarzan, who supported the Anya Nya, or as some people call it, Anya Nya 1 movement militarily. He is here with us. He's going to share with us a lot of history about the Anya Nya movement. General John, you're welcome to our program, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, could you please tell us when did you come to Southern Sudan and what for exactly?
I came in 1969 on a fact-finding mission sent by the State of Israel to find out what is South Sudan, the people, the landscape, how do you fight, will the people fight if we give them weapons? Because Joseph Lago requested the Israeli embassies. He went to 3 of them and he requested a support. And he said, give us weapons and we will defend our people, families, villages. By defending, we shall tie down the army of the north in South Sudan. And they will not be able to send forces to support the Egyptians on the Suez Canal. That was the reason. So I came to find out what it is, to see the people, to get an impression, to come back home, and of course to tell the people, the Mossad in this case, I was sent by the Mossad, shall we support the South Sudanese or shall we not? And if I say yes, I have to explain why. If I say no, I have to explain why.
Okay, can you tell us about the Anya Nya movement, and after you have come and you have seen, what moved you actually about the movement, and so that you go and after that you go and report back to
when we came into South Sudan, and I must stress to all the people who will be watching this interview, at that time, 1969, South Sudan was, or shall I say, desert in many ways. No roads, no nothing. No contact between the provinces. Everything you walk. The villages are small because the other side, the north, made it as they were in intention way. Don't let the South Sudanese have normal life, have the big villages, so you burn houses, you burn food, you make sure that there will be, the South Sudan will be empty of its own people. So that was one thing. But the Anya Nya that accompanied us, the team, they impressed me very much, because when they had nothing, simply nothing, they showed a very high level of discipline, walking all these kilometers without saying a word. And I looked at them and I saw that these people have self-dignity, no less. They have nothing but with self-dignity in the eyes, which impressed me. When I saw all what I saw, I said, and all the misery. And I said, now I'm sure that they will fight if we supply them with weapons.
Okay, can you tell us why did Israel exactly decided to support Southern Sudan by then?
Because the interest was the same. I mean, if the Anya Nya will tie down the army of the north in the bush, no brigades of Northern Army will go to Egypt. So exactly the interest of the State of Israel. We'll give you weapons, you defend your lives, everything that you have, and it serves the purpose. Northern Army will not be free to send brigades. They will be tied down to the south. Simple as that.
Okay, how did you come to know Joseph Lago in person?
We had an embassy in Kampala, Lago went to the embassy in Kampala, Tanzania, and Nairobi. So he was known by the representatives that were in these embassies, and they passed his request, and all his meetings or interviews were sent to the Mossad. So the name Joseph Lago came from 3 different embassies. And when I came to Kampala on the fact-finding mission, I met him in a hotel that we stayed. It was organized that he would come to the hotel room, and there we met.
Okay, what was interested in Lago when you met him? When the first time you met him and you happened to chat with him?
I saw a gentle person. Gentle in appearance, in talking. I understood. I did not understand yet what I'm going to see. I had no information, but it was a pleasant. It was a pleasant person to meet, and yet I know nothing about the conditions. This is my impression of the man who is in command of Anya Nya.
Of course, you still remember some of the Anya Nya leadership other than General Lago. Can you name a few, and their roles in the movement?
When we say Anya Nya, at this stage we refer to Central Equatoria, where we went to, or Wingibul. There was accompanied us on this first finding mission. It was Samuel Abjon, Ellison Magaya, Joseph Oduhu as a politician at the time, and of course Joseph Lago. Now at this stage, they wanted our delegation to get the best impression from what we see, the people, the land, and so on, because we have to go back and report. And they did not lecture us. They told us what is the condition, and we saw the conditions. And everything was done in a proper way. What you see, we will just add and tell you what happens in other parts. At that time, I'm not talking about knowing the command ability of the people. It was not the issue at all. It was the impression of the situation in South Sudan at the time, and not judging how good a commander you are.
Okay, can you tell us the role each commander has played?
Okay, Samuel Abjon was the commanding officer of Western Equatoria. I was not in Western Equatoria. He came with, I think, 160 people to Wingibul later to get the weapons and go back. How they reacted, what did they do? I heard it reports from Ellison Magaya. I got his report. Lago, I was with Lago. So Samuel, Ellison were in the west. Oduhu is a politician. We're not talking about command. And with Lago, I was all the time. And I would say this. I know that Lago was appointed the command of the Anya Nya. He was the only one at the time in '63 with the some military knowledge. A graduate of the Khartoum Academy. But he understands, as I understood, it was not enough to deal with actions on the scale that we had in mind. So we worked nicely together. I did not step on his feet. He is in command. I suggested what I think we should do, and that was done. So it was perfectly worked, and we achieved. And we did not clash on a foreigner comes to tell me what to do. No, not at all.
Were there other countries that supported Anya Nya movement than Israel?
No one on this planet will support rebels in a country that has got delegates in the United Nations. You don't just jump into. And what Lagos said to his people, who is the North Sudan is our enemy, who else? Israel. So let's approach Israel and not Germany, Britain or anyone. They will not support us. Why should they? So they approached us, and yes, we had a common enemy at the time. At the time, I say.
Okay, General John, let us go for a break and then we'll be back and continue with our discussions. Welcome back to Let Us Know. We are in exclusive interview with General Uri David Ben Uzail, and also known as General John or Tarzan, who supported the Anya Nya movement, as some call it Anya Nya One movement militarily. So, General John, can you tell us, was Anya Nya movement all over Southern Sudan? If yes, how was the communication during this or the Anya Nya leadership in other provinces?
Of course, the first communication was between us and Lago. When weapons were brought in, Upper Nile, the late Joseph Akwon, they heard it. Emmanuel Abur, we brought Joseph Akwon and Lago to a meeting in Nairobi. I attended the meeting between both of them. And Joseph Akwon, a gentle person, very gentle, he said to Lago, the revolt, the Anya Nya started in Eastern Equatoria, therefore we accept the leadership. That was that. And not trying to be who is a big boss on these occasions. So we passed weapons to the Upper Nile, I think via Ethiopia. It was very simple to do it. The Ethiopians were keen because once the South Sudanese will make the Sudan army busy, it helps Ethiopia. The border will be quiet. So it's not only inside South Sudan, it has got an influence on the borders. So this is A. Emmanuel Abu came and he said, I hear that you give weapons and so on, why not to us? And I told him very simple, I said, you will get the weapons, no politicians, no local government, and no, I will not give weapons to local governments or to local chiefs. This is the time not for politics, this is the time to fight the common enemy. And the attention should be on fighting the enemy and not playing games between politicians. That is my attitude. I don't know the politicians, not by face, not by name. I have a principle. Once the Nile government will be dissolved, immediately I'll call for weapons. That was that. So now the communication. There was no communication, radio communication between the provinces. No. They communicate between the companies in Equatoria and Lago. We supplied them with radio stuff, and they were communicating and passing information. information on what actions they took, what happened, what people injured, and so on. So only in Equatoria there was a radio contact, the HQ, which was with Lago. And Lago had a radio with 2 operators with the Mossad.
Okay, how Israeli military supported and helped transform the Anya Nya into a more effective combat force?
First of all, the fact-finding mission, the first visit, was important because I didn't know if it is a thick forest that you don't see the person 1 meter from you, where the grass is tall. Is it open savanna? It's different weapons, long distance, short distance. So I planned the number and type of weapons that each platoon will have. How many machine guns, how many submachine guns, and so on. That will answer all the trees and the savanna and so on. The instruction I got: build the first battalion, 1,000 men. So train, equipped 1,000 men. This will be the first battalion of Equatoria. And this is what we did. I mean, we knew the number of the people we have to train and to arm them and send them on missions. So this was the kind of landmines, bazookas, a side of medicines and food and everything. Not to think that only weapons and all the rest we left aside, not at all. So this was I was the one who prepared all the list of the weapons and what will be parachuted, first drop, second drop, and so on. Because I planned what will be the training, vaccinating the people, everything according to some kind of logic. So, and then we supplied all the weapons, anything that was needed for the fighting. And now comes the main part: train the people. More important, training is technical. The spirit. If you do not build a morale, you are just holding a stick in your hand. You will not fight. And that was important too. Most important than just giving you a rifle in your hand.
Okay, we understood that the former president of Uganda, President Milton Obote, was helping the movement, but all of a sudden he decided to cut the aid to the movement. Do you have any idea why do you think?
I'm going now to shoot. I'll tell you what I mean. I didn't know at that time what was the relations between Obote or Uganda and South Sudan. Why and what? I thought that if a president of a country appoints Idi Amin as the chief of staff, so I'm not looking for any logic. So I don't know why Milton Obote did what he did. I don't find any sense, any logic. The South Sudanese, even if they have weapons, they will not be your enemies. They have their enemies enough on the northern side and not going to Uganda and fighting Uganda. So what's the point? So the logic, I don't know. But I know how the man, his decisions, and that is enough for me to judge.
Okay, Anya Nya movement was having a flag during that time. What was the meaning of the colors to the best of your knowledge? And of course, Southern Sudan was trying also to change their name to Nile Republic. Could you shed more light on that, if you have any idea.
Yeah, the name I'm not coming into it because I didn't know. I would not intervene in something that the people decide how to call the woman. None of my business. But the flag, what surprised me, almost all the flags in Africa will have red, black, green. All 90.9% of them. It is the color, it is the blood, it is the fields. But what I found in the Anya Nya white flag, white color. So I looked at my diary because I asked Lago in 1969, tell me what the colors mean. The white color is for peace. Can you imagine? 1969, they have a flag, all the colors known, and white for peace. I mean, they were thinking of that, and that impressed me very much. Because who talks about, I have 2 colors, 3 colors, and that's it. It shows you something.
Okay, of course, in animal fighting, there are always women. And could you tell us how did women participate in that Anya Nya movement?
There was no service of women in the Anya Nya whatsoever. Women were helping when needed to carry stuff, let's say. This is what I saw in several occasions. Minimal. Maybe twice I saw it, only. But something for people to understand when we are talking about now to 2021. A woman pregnant, baby on the back, and ammunition box on the head. God Almighty. I did not believe my eyes. An officer asked her to assist. I don't know why he was not a bit more gentle. What do you want from this woman? But this is what I saw when I photographed it.
So they did not participate militarily?
No. There were some women cooked in the Buingi Boulevard, cooking, but not part of the Anya Nya. Not at all.
Okay, General John, we have seen you publish a book called a Mossad agent in Southern Sudan. That's the book. Can you tell us a little background?
I'll tell you about the book first. Every evening, walking 40 kilometers, whatever, I wrote the diary of the day. And when I got permission to publish the book, because for more than 40 years, Israel, the state of Israel, did not tell anyone, yes, we supported South Sudan. We did not. When I was given the permission to do it, I decided that this book should show anyone, the public, what was the situation, the misery, the hard life, the character of the South Sudanese, the main things that took place. I could write a book that's 600 pages, but it is no point to say that on a Monday morning we had a bazooka training. This is not important. So I decided from all the diaries that I select the important things. I'm not going to put in the book all the rivalries between people. It's not important. This politician, that politician, this has nothing to do. Human beings argue all the time, not new. Not especially for the South Sudan. So that was the way I thought and the way the book came out. Now,
okay, what do you mean by title here? A Mossad agent? Are you meaning the Prime Minister by then?
I was sent by the Mossad.
Who was the Prime Minister by then?
No. Mossad is under the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, she was a Prime Minister, but there is a Mossad, the Mossad head. And if you want me to read at the back of the book something, so this is what the Mossad head said. I had no hesitation when choosing Tarzan to lead our aid mission to South Sudan. I would known him since we served in the military together. I was familiar with his attributes and personality and considering him the right man for our operations in South Sudan. So when he selected me, he knew my background in Africa, he knew my background in the military, and that was his selection that I will be the officer in the field in this operation. The book, you can get it in Amazon, the same title, for $22, Kindle. If anyone, but I understand that that it's going to be brought into to Juba, Mayat.
Yeah.
Yes, so that there will be enough copies for the people who would like to read. And this is, and I am not a person who, this is the main lines of the history of the Anya Nya, the first stage which brought South Sudan to be an entity. Not you don't play games with us. So we have weapons now, we know how to fight, we South Sudanese, we fought. Our officers were commanding the units and not foreign officers, as in the past. Very important. So from now on, you cannot step. We stand on our feet. For anyone, everyone, just to take notice of that.
Okay, since that time up to now, what was the best impression you have about South Sudan? And today they have an independent country.
The impression I had that under the conditions that I mentioned, which were very tough, people behaved with self-respect. They, no water, no food, no one says a word. No complaints. You don't hear people under the conditions that I tell you. Nothing. They walk, they suffer quietly. And I wrote in the book, not once, I will remember and admire them. No, I don't know of any army that will act under these conditions and will just do the job that they have to do. It was very impressive. So that was my impression. Now, there is something that people have to understand. At that time, there was no government, no jobs, no titles, no nothing. Everybody had nothing. Officers, not officers, you just say, okay, you have the ranks, but it doesn't mean that you get money. Nothing. You don't go to the restaurant, you eat the same nothing. Once you have a state, a proper state, government, ministers, life of a government, then all the tensions pop up. I want to be this, I want to be that, and jealousies, and we know it's all over the world. Nothing special, not for South Sudan. So my impression, I can say one thing, not in a question of impression. The South Sudanese don't have not the time, nor the time, they have to unite. They have to unite. I know the differences, but you must. There is no other way. The other way is to split. And again, we're going to different provinces, separated. No one overseas, no one in the world will support this. They will say, okay, you are not a state, you are not a country. So if the people in South Sudan will understand that, and the high up people, it's up to them. The man in the street hasn't got the power to do it, but the man above has got the power. So you are not God. You remember, you are not God. You have people under you, take care of them. This is the message, and the people have to understand it. And I want to tell you something, as people now listen to me. I was in Ethiopia in Haile Selassie time. I saw the tension between the young officers, private sergeant, and the big shots above. And I was told by the officers I trained, and they said to me, when they told me we are afraid of the day that what will take place. And we saw what happened when Mengistu took over. They just chopped down all the seniors. The hatred was unbelievable. So people have to understand it, and not to bring to a situation that you cause tension of the civilians. I mean, they want to have life and live, and this is my message.
Okay, let us leave it there, General John, for giving us your time. We hope to have more time so that you speak to us about what you have seen in Southern Sudan by then, and what do you expect South Sudan to be like in the future. Viewers of SSBC, with this we have come to the end of the program. Till we meet again, bye for now.